Right, so hello and welcome back to another video on Arthur TV. Today we're looking at part 10 of Big Ed's journey on 90 Day the Single Life. So last time out we looked at the first part of the season finale tell-all episode. Despite Big Ed being in a good place with Liz at the end of the previous episode, he arrived at the tell-all completely alone, before admitting to the other cast members that he and Liz were no longer in a relationship, and that he didn't even know if she was going to make an appearance on the show. Much to everyone's surprise, just before the cameras started rolling, Liz finally arrived at the studio. She soon revealed that her and Ed had split up 7 different times throughout the course of the season, with the last time being several weeks beforehand. She then detailed how controlling and manipulative Big Ed had been throughout the season behind the scenes whilst the cameras weren't rolling, which prompted the other cast members to absolutely tear into him. But despite everything Big Ed had put Liz through and how much Liz was still clearly hurting from it all, part 1 of the tell-all ended with both Big Ed and Liz saying I love you to each other. Today we're going to be looking at the second part of the tell-all in what will be our final video on Big Ed's story from this season. I know that's sad, but I'm going to be making plenty more 90 Day Fiancé content looking at some of the most entertaining couples, and when Big Ed inevitably comes back for another season, I'll be covering that too. So if you want to catch any of that along with a whole host of brand new content, just hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. So part 2 of the tell-all started off by focusing on other couples first. But Big Ed didn't wait for them to come around to his relationship for him to remind everyone what an absolute tool he is.
Danielle, do you think women are very emotional?
I know I'm emotional.
So you know you're emotional, huh?
We are more emotional than men, 100%. But Ed is different.
I was
Ed
just
cries.
going to say that. I was like, have you met Ed?
Did you just call me a woman? Hey, look, I don't like sports.
Okay.
I'm in the kitchen with the women,
Maybe.
you know, talking about relationships while the guys are watching football.
Yup, he just unironically implied that women belong in the kitchen. This man's misogyny really knows no bounds. Because there were quite a few other couples, there was a break in filming before they got around to talking about Big Ed and Liz, and that gave them a chance to have a little catch up beforehand in the break room.
I'm trying to figure out why we broke up. Can you tell me?
The drinking. We'd have really petty fights during drinking.
Yeah. What killed me was that it was like final, like it was really over.
You made it final.
But you accepted it.
No, I didn't. You dropped my shit off and then blocked me and left to Vegas.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
It's actually unreal the way he can do something wrong and then still blame her for accepting it. Even the way he apologizes so lightly for putting her through absolute hell is weird. It's like he's apologizing for forgetting to defrost the chicken before dinner. Their relationship is just a whole new level of dysfunctional.
Why don't you just tell me to fuck off? Hey, you want to go on a date? Go fuck yourself. Why did you torture me?
You're a handful. I feel like, in a way, I kind of got my friend back.
Me too.
I don't know what confused me more about this scene. Liz saying she still wants to be friends, or Ed laying across the sofa like he's a schoolgirl on the phone to her crush. Like, why is he sitting like that? So after the break, they finally got on to Big Ed and Liz. If you remember in his first series with Rose, he said he had been planning on getting a vasectomy, and he recently had that done. But because he has an obsession with dating significantly younger women, he didn't want his inability to have kids to cost him a relationship with one of them. And despite Liz saying that she didn't want to have any more kids, she didn't want to close that door for certain. So Big Ed decided to go get some of his reproductive cells frozen. For some sick reason, he also decided to vlog it. And in an act that should have been banned under the Geneva Convention, the producers thought it would be a good idea to show it to us.
So I just arrived in LA. I'm gonna go jerk off in a cup. I'm excited.
What?
My doctor told me no heavy lifting, so when I jerk off, I'm gonna use both my hands. Okay, here we go.
We need to find out who asked him to do this and make sure they never make a decision that affects anyone else ever again. I know a lot of you guys watch these videos whilst you're eating dinner, so I can only apologize for what you're about to witness. If you're eating right now, particularly anything creamy, I suggest you put it on hold for a minute.
So I'm inside the room, and with my little specimen cup, I'm gonna dim the lights for that just special moment. And I'm not gonna film this part, but here we go. Here's matters to my future. I'm worn out.
What?
Oh my God.
But I got this one. Thank God. That's little Ed Jr. in there.
You know what? I expect degeneracy from Big Ed in these episodes, but seeing him all sweaty, holding up a cup of his freshly made baby gravy, genuinely makes me want to delete my channel and get lobotomized so that I never have to think about any of that ever again. Apparently it took him 2 hours as well, and Liz had to send him a photo from the car to hurry him up. Honestly, someone needs to destroy that sample immediately for the good of the human race. Liz not wanting to have the option of having more kids taken away from her definitely played its part, but what really made the whole thing materialize was something that happened during the season.
Liz and I had actually had a pregnancy scare at one time, and it kind of freaked us both out because we weren't ready. We still loved each other, but now I did that for us.
Someone needs to sack these producers. First they missed the argument at the hotel, then they missed the breakup, and now we find out they missed the pregnancy scare too. I feel like we've missed such a big chapter in this whole thing. Like, the pregnancy scare in the Brandon and Julia series was one of the most entertaining episodes. Anyway, they then went on to do a recap of the season, and they finished off by looking at the beach episode where Big Ed asked Liz to move in with him, even though she had been saying that he was moving too fast. And this was his reaction.
Ed, watching that made you really emotional. What are you thinking right now?
That I don't listen. I don't listen. And I have things I'm working on in therapy, which is awesome. It's so awesome. I'm learning so much about myself. That I never knew. God.
He loves this therapy line, doesn't he? I mean, I have a lot of respect for him for actually going and for being able to speak openly about it without denting his massive fragile ego, but I feel like he romanticizes it quite a lot and ends up using it to come out with stuff that he thinks will make him sound good but don't really mean anything.
I couldn't trust myself, so I couldn't trust you. And I told my daughter I'm gonna have Liz move in. She goes, why? So I can learn to trust her. And then Tiffany's like, Ed, that's the opposite. You should not want her to move in because you trust her. And again, this is issues about me that have held me back from finding love.
See, do you know what I mean? Like, it's all very deep and self-reflecting, but it's also kind of shallow. Because Ed and Liz seem to be talking through their problems and getting close during the breaks, I think everyone started wondering whether they were going to get back together. So Liz ended up being asked whether she would be open to giving it one more shot.
I've missed Ed a lot this last month.
Oh.
As far as the future, we were talking about it earlier. I still love him. I still want to be with him.
I love how all of the cast members reacted to Liz the exact same way as us. The groans and the sighs are literally the only things keeping me sane, watching Liz say that she still might somehow have feelings for this toxic little ball of misogyny. I mean, I like Liz, but she's making a fool out of herself here. He's not gonna change and she's not gonna change him. And when the same question was put to Ed, his answer literally couldn't have been worse.
I would even make a list. My daughter made me a list. What do you like about Liz and what frustrates you? And the frustration list was like 20, and what I liked about her was like 3, including Riley.
Oh, shit. Damn, bro.
But what I'm realizing now is that these were things that I didn't like about myself.
What is this strange little creature actually talking about? I thought he was going to go down some sweet path or have a cute little twist after sending us in the wrong direction. But he genuinely just told her that her bad traits outnumber her good traits 7-1 and then just stopped talking. You know, I thought he was going to be like, there were 20 frustrating bits, but when I got onto the good bits, the list was endless. Or I realized none of them matter compared with how much I love you. But he literally just dug himself a hole, threw the spade out, pissed in it, and then fell asleep in it. And then he went on to rub even more stuff in her face.
I mean, I was the one that broke up with you like 7 times. You never broke up with me. You never stopped trying. I was always the one that kicked you out.
He says it almost like he's bragging about how much control he had over her and saving face by making it clear that he never got dumped, whilst disguising it as some kind of critical self-realization. He kicked her out because he used him leaving as leverage to get her to do things that she either wasn't ready for or just flat out didn't want to do. I just don't understand why she kept coming back.
I do have hope we can make it work. My biggest fear is I can give it another shot, and then in 2 days, with people in his ear, he can pretty much just tell me it's not worth it. And because he's done that to me so many times.
It's actually so mad that out of all of their relationship issues and all of Ed's flaws and everything he's just said to her then, the main thing she's worried about happening if they get back together is her getting dumped again. After all of the lies, threats, manipulation, gaslighting, him finally leaving her alone for good is literally the best case scenario for her.
He came up to me behind the scenes and he told me to say hi to my roommate and that she's really pretty.
Oh, shit.
That's literally just happened a few hours ago.
The gig is up, Ed.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
true. That happened.
And my roommate, by the way, she's 26.
That is the face of a man who knows he's in trouble. Liz and Rose both being in their 20s could have been a coincidence, but him also going after Fernanda, who's 23, her flatmate who's 26, and a bunch of sugar babies in Vegas who are probably the same age is a pattern, and for a 55-year-old, it's a creepy one. He just so clearly loves being single, loves the attention, and loves going after younger women. He's basically the Wayne Lineker of San Diego. Why doesn't he stop trying to date younger women who he's only gonna end up scarring and just accept the fact that he's not meant to be in a relationship right now? And more importantly, why can't Liz see that?
I know that he loves me, and I'm not saying that that was okay, but he's single right now.
I'm actually speechless. Even Ed is like, what the fuck? How is she still not mad at me? She honestly needs to just have more respect for herself and not let him get away with it. It doesn't matter whether he's single or not. If he actually liked her, he wouldn't be acting like this. How many more signs does she need that he's not right for her? Even the other cast members can see that Ed wants to be single. It just falls on deaf ears with Liz, and I have no idea why.
But I don't think so. I think you want to have sex with her roommate. And
Okay.
that's fine. Go ahead, have fun. But don't ask Liz to stay and, like, wait for you or something.
Okay, dude. Yeah, who here wants to do an over and under that you guys won't last 6 months?
Wow.
He is actually such a dick, isn't he? Where does he get all this anger from? Like, I know he's still bitter about being rejected from becoming one of the 300 Spartans, but he deals with criticism so badly. Colt's definitely being provocative, but firing shots back at him rather than taking any responsibility for any of this just proves that Ed's too insecure and too immature to be in a relationship.
I'll put $100.
Why would you put it
Because-
on them? We're
I
talking
thought we
about
bet
your
$1 million.
No, I'll tell you why.
I
Because
I just wait 7 months.
he's been
idiot.
such a rude.
You don't know anything.
He's been such a rude, belligerent person to me all day, and
Wow.
it's
Who insulted me? Who body shamed me? Who constantly passive aggressive? Who constantly gaslights? Yes, I will say Ed is a gaslighter. I can tell it. I can smell it on you. It smells like
Dude,
gasoline.
you're crazy.
Colt calling him a gaslighter and Ed instantly replying with "that's crazy" is literally proving Colt's point. Like, that is exactly what gaslighting is, manipulating someone into doubting their own sanity. You know, I might do an entire little saga on Colt and his several seasons of degeneracy just because of how entertaining he's been during the tell-all.
Hey, you're crazy.
crazy.
Something
Look at
is
you.
wrong with you psychologically.
Look at you, Ed. You think I'm crazy?
Hey, listen,
You
listen.
had your mother and
Look
your,
at you,
your
man.
own
Look-
daughter
come on.
telling you that you have issues to work on.
Who
Don't
has the
project
fucking
on him.
stickers everywhere.
Don't
You're
project on other
crazy.
people. Just take your shit and
Yeah.
walk out in peace.
Where do they actually find these people? They're all unhinged, I swear. Also, how can Ed sit there and say that he's in therapy working on all these problems and making himself out to be a new man, and then the second something doesn't go the way he wants it to, morph straight back into an arrogant, rude, self-serving gaslighter? Like, he's got some serious issues, and him going to a few therapy sessions isn't going to change that.
This is the first time in my life, Fernanda, that I've ever been in therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And it's
here we
because-
go again with the therapist.
Just because you went to 3 sessions, it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, I have a long way to go.
You have a long way to go, yes.
6 months.
But then
6 months? Ed, you are barely exploring the tip of the iceberg of your problems. Therapy is like a chisel that's gonna take years to dig through it. It's not the freaking Titanic. I don't know whether he says all of this stuff knowing it's a load of nonsense, but saying it because he thinks it will make him sound better, or if he's delusional and actually believes it, but I'm glad everyone else in the studio can see right through his self-victimization, because he can't keep getting away with treating people like trash and then just saying that he's working on it.
What is the answer to that?
I would like to go to at least 1, maybe 3 therapy sessions before we cross that line. I can just like look at him and we just fall back into our conversation and everything.
Yeah, like
that,
all day
so.
today you were chit-chatting
Yeah.
and talking and laughing
But,
together.
yeah, I'm willing, if you're willing to, go get some therapy together and see from there.
How has she sat there through all of that thinking this is the guy for me? Like, does she ignore it? Does she not see it? Maybe she's the type of person who likes to be in a relationship with someone they think is broken but can fix. I guess that would explain why she's had 2 divorces, one of which was so bad she can't even talk about it. If she is the type of person who just goes after men thinking she can change them, him evidently being a broken person but also saying that he's a work in progress kind of makes him the perfect partner for that.
I've never worked on myself. I haven't.
So stop punishing yourself.
But I love you, Liz. I want.
How can you say I'm dead?
Do we have a
How can
muzzle?
you say you love her?
Do we have a muzzle?
10 minutes before, be like, hey, you got your friend's hot. Can I get her number?
Production,
How
do we
is
have
that
any
love?
duct tape? Somebody gaffer.
How
him.
is that love? Answer my question.
Honestly, as angry as Colt was, and as many times as Molly and Fernanda tried to get through to Liz, it seemed like her fate was already sealed. For some unknown reason, it was all just noise to her. Literally the entire time, whether the cameras were rolling or they were on a break, she was drawn to Ed. And no matter what he said, she was either ready to forgive him or just didn't seem to care. All he had to do was give her the attention he'd been starving her of, and she was in the palm of his hand.
When she walked in here, I froze. I was knocked off my rocker. I haven't seen her since we broke up a month ago today. And the minute she started talking, I'm like, I'm screwed because I'm in love.
Okay.
That's a good thing, actually.
The way she smiles at him like that genuinely kills me inside. There is no hope for that girl. He is literally spouting out absolute crap, and she is chowing down on it like a starving dung beetle. There are a few more clips from after the show, but that was the end of the tell-all. It was fiery, entertaining, insightful, even disgusting at times. But at the end of it all, somehow, Big Ed and Liz seemed far from over.
I feel like I've gotten things off my chest, got a few apologies I felt I deserved. I hate the feeling that it's so comfortable to talk to Ed again because it makes me feel like I can be vulnerable. And I don't want to be vulnerable with Ed because I feel like one second he may think that he may want me again and then not want me again the next day.
Are Liz and I back in a relationship? Sorta.
I actually can't believe his apologies were enough for her. Like we've been saying all season long, his apologies mean absolutely nothing if he's not going to change. And since he first graced our screens on that series with Rose 2 years ago, he hasn't changed one bit. And just to prove it to us one last time before we go, he finished on genuinely the most disrespectful and repulsive note possible.
Hey, you want to go talk?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna grab my stuff. Okay. I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. I mean, I'm thinking about whether I'm gonna want to have sex with her or not. It's probably not a good idea.
Is that gonna stop you?
Probably not.
His creepy little smile after saying that is gonna haunt some dreams tonight. Thankfully, not only did they never sleep with each other again, they never even spoke. After the episode, Liz reached out to him to plan them going to couples therapy together, and he just completely ghosted her. Whilst I'm sure that was hard for Liz to deal with, it was undoubtedly for the best. And thankfully, it looks like she's finally moved on. She's been quite active on Instagram lately, and when she announced that she had broken up with Ed, She called him a narcissist, deleted all the pictures she had up with him in them, and unfollowed him on social media. She also recently posted a photo to her Instagram story of her on her birthday in the arms of a new man, captioned, "Hey, you made my day special." Hopefully, Liz finds peace and happiness with whoever that new guy is. Big Ed himself is actually unrecognizable these days. Since the tell-all, he's lost a load of weight, got a sharp new haircut, and stopped dyeing his hair and beard. Whilst there's no sign of a new love interest for Ed, he recently did a cameo for a fan and hinted at a return to TV, saying that he might be going back to the Philippines. He's also been posting a lot of compilations and photos of his time with Rose from his first season with her, but that could just be him being a little socially oblivious weirdo. Whether his next series is with Rose or with another young woman he's found to exploit, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Well, that is unfortunately the end of Big Ed's story on the first season of 90 Day The Single Life. If you've enjoyed the season and you want to catch more 90 Day Fiancé content, as well as my coverage of Big Ed on whatever season he appears in next, make sure you're subscribed down below so you don't miss out. Thank you for all of the kind and hilarious comments you've left on these videos throughout the season, as well as all the lovely comments and messages you've left me across social media. I've thoroughly enjoyed being your host, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon. As always, the links to my Instagram, Twitter, and other social media will be down below, so feel free to come drop me a follow to keep up with the channel, help me decide what future videos to make, or just say hi in between uploads. I'd also just like to give a very quick shout out to my Patreon supporters for supporting me and the channel over on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.